technical issues that we
It
usually
does it, but it does it. You have to do it twice. That's what's funny. And it's always like you press it and then you have to do it again, like the same
Oh,
thing. So
okay.
when I see it on the Facebook page, oh, there we go. All right, now I know we're live. Okay, awesome.
Just to turn my volume down. So
Yeah, make sure my volume is down. Okay, well, thank you everyone for being here. This is our weekly Tuesday Talks brought to you by NAMI Greater Houston. So today we have a very special guest. She is going to tell us a little bit about herself and where she works and some good concepts and resources provided for therapy. So we have Lisha here. She's our guest for today. So Lisha, tell us about, first where you grew up. Tell us a little bit about your background.
So I was originally born in India. That's my birthplace. And then we moved when I was 7. I lived in the Chicago region for almost all my life. So recently I moved to Texas a couple of years ago when I got married to my husband. And I started my nursing career because I'm actually a board certified nurse practitioner, family nurse practitioner. I started my journey, as you can say, for nursing back in Chicago. I was a nurse there for about 2 years before I started to pursue my passion for nurse practitioner.
Right.
And I finished it when I moved to Texas, and I've been a nurse practitioner for about 1.5 years now, working in, I worked with a lot of pain management, but also, pain deals with depressions. I had a lot of encounter with mental health also, and that's really my interest is mental health because I feel so much passion about it.
Right, and that's a great thing to talk about. Well, first, I'm glad you got to leave Chicago with being so cold, and then you're here in Texas. So, but yeah, I visited Chicago one time, and it's beautiful in the summer, but not in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, definitely mental health is a passion of ours as well, and advocating and really just helping the community. So let me ask you this: what does mental health mean to you when in the realm of just on a personal level, and just now what you're kind of providing for patients as an option at the wellness center?
Well, I think mental health is a very big part of our life. It really impacts our daily function and how we're able to focus, do things, even work. Mental health to have a good, healthy mental health is very important. And it not only helps us, to handle stress, but it's part of maintaining relationships with our family, our friends. If our mental health is impacted, it impacts our people around us. It impacts our work. It creates anxiety, it creates stress. So I think that mental health is a very important part of every day. I believe that if mental health, especially this year, I think a lot of people have been impacted with mental health, even if we don't realize. It's just there's so much stress around us related to the pandemic. There's so much stress related to job, the disease itself, our family. I think it's an ongoing stress, and I over a period of time experience that increased amount of stress and can become overwhelming, and that's where a lot of our mental health illnesses can originate from, like depression, anxiety. So I think that overall mental health is as important as your physical health.
Exactly.
It's going to impact each way. If you're not mentally healthy, it's going to impact our blood pressures. It's going to impact overall our health. So I think that it's very, very important that we acknowledge how important it is.
No, absolutely. And I think it's definitely, I mean, this year has been hard for everyone. Definitely. We've seen, we've added some of our holiday classes, support groups, educational classes. And we've never had that request. And we had people that were calling to kind of just get assistance. And we put together our holiday calendar just to kind of give them a little bit of relief and a little bit of aid. Because definitely stress and anxiety, I mean, it's still going on, but definitely that's something that we're here to help, with with
Yeah.
businesses like you work for, and definitely for us here at NAMI Greater Houston. So
Yeah.
tell me about Ketamine Wellness
Yeah.
Center. What is that about? I came across you guys, and I just thought it was wonderful what you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
provide. So
Well, Ketamine Wellness Center, we opened, it's a nationwide. We actually are opening up clinics nationwide to help across the US. We started and we opened our door back in 2011. Our original location was in Arizona. And we treat various different mental health illnesses. We treat from depression, anxiety, PTSD, OCD, and even to the point where suicidality. We really we've really seen improvements in patients who do suffer and have suicidal ideations. I think to get to that point and to have this as a treatment is great. Not only do we, we'll focus, ketamine wellness doesn't focus just on the mental health. We also think about our patients that deal with pain that impacts our mental health. So we
exactly.
treat in both ways. But over since 2011, we've seen about 80% of success in our mental health patients, and we've seen about 90% in our chronic pain patients. So, we've opened more and more clinics, not because we want to, it's because we've seen the success of it. And,
Right.
to have that ketamine wellness, to have that compassionate care when you feel that there is no other hope, I think it's a great to have that feeling that there's support out there, just not medications and therapies and stuff.
Right. And I know that's one of the things that you mentioned. So if someone wants to kind of just go and get treatments, talk to me about the process. What is it that you guys kind of start off when patients kind of arrive?
So the process is very simple. You can find a lot of that information on our Ketamine Wellness Center website.
Mhm.
But it's very simple. You go in, it's very confidential. There's a form that you can actually call our ketamine number, but it's easiest to do the website. But you pretty much go on there. There's a section where you fill out a form, just general information, and our patient liaisons that are excellent. They will actually read out to you and any questions you have. That would be the first step. Once we make it through the first step, the second step is usually we set up a mental health and a medical screening. We have a medical provider, Dr. Mark Murphy, and then we have a clinical psychologist, Dr. Diamond, and they both review the screenings, and the screenings are done by myself as a clinical administrator, and we have the other locations. So you get in pretty quick, and you can actually do the screening at your home. We, just like right now, we actually do the screenings over the computer, so you don't have to worry about going into the clinic. You do it at your own comfort time and your own comfort home. Once the screenings are done and you're approved, we'll call you back and say, hey, you've been approved. We don't see any indication safety wise, and we then get you scheduled for the treatment. So the process is pretty simple. Fill out the form, do the screening, and then you come in for the treatment.
Got it. So it varies as far as a couple people are asking, is health insurance accepted?
It is accepted for only not for depression yet. As of right now, depression has not been covered by insurance. There are certain insurances that will cover first for chronic pain. We would have to see which insurance you have, and the cost and stuff will be pertaining to how much your insurance will cover. But
Right.
I would say if you have insurance and really need to reach out, our patient liaisons can answer that question. If whichever location facility, because we have one in Houston, we also have one in Dallas, and we do take insurance for some, for the pain.
Right. And the Houston location, where is that located?
It's actually located right here off of FM 1960 in Haynes Road. We're right by the Willowbrook Mall, if anybody is familiar with that
Right.
area. I
Right.
usually
Right.
do the pinpoint locations usually, but right off of 1960, very close to even 290, patients
Right. Right.
are
Right. Yeah.
familiar with the
Well,
290 area.
right. Willowbrook is kind of the center point there.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very nice
So
area.
so you coming from India and kind of, going into Chicago, and then
Yeah.
how do you feel as far as just the community getting involved with just getting assistance or finding resources to kind of improve their mental health? What have you seen on, two-part question, on just kind of your own kind of personal cultural background? And then just as you come here, kind of the acceptance of being able to just talk about if something is wrong with you, or just seeking help in general.
I think that is very common, especially in our culture, to be open that you're dealing with depression or even anxiety. You just tend to deal with it on its own because a lot of patients, families, friends don't understand that. I
Right.
think that biggest part is to really, educate yourself, be open. There's so many resources out there. Myself, as being an Indian descent, it was, I had struggled with depression while back, and being open about it is the best way to get help. There's just certain things that we can handle on ourselves, and there's so many resources. When I was dealing with my own experience, there were so many resources out there, and especially NAMI. I've heard about NAMI since back then. And
Right.
the classes that you guys offer, I think that's great support because just educating, knowing really that it's okay. It's not some kind of a disease, be open about it, and it's something that's manageable if you're able to seek the help. It's not forever thing. If, why should you feel the way you're feeling, it's, if it's
Yeah.
really impacting you, there's help out there, so why be ashamed and why hide it and just keep it to yourself when you can actually feel good and you can
Right.
actually, live a good life. So I think that especially in Indian culture, I feel it's not as open, and that's what I feel as doing these chats and joining these mental health platforms really allows me to even express my experience, but also educate other Indians and other people that there's help there. There's so much support out there.
Right. And I think that's definitely a great point when it's just really the education part, because I think
Yeah.
people really don't know, all these are treatable conditions, and it takes a village. You can also,
Oh yeah.
get
Yeah.
your therapist, you can get medication if that's what's needed, you can get your different treatments. So I think it's important for people to know how to kind of spread the awareness, and
Yeah.
that's what we kind of focus on really the education behind it, and really
Yeah.
just kind of creating that, open platform, and just that dialogue that you can just get help, and different people can kind of join in.
I think it's as simple as for the community to just be aware, talk to your family, talk to your friends, really seek out and how they're doing. And if you notice they're struggling, then help them. Say, hey, I know of NAMI, you should look into it. I think just letting them even know in their toughest times. And if you see somebody struggling through that, to just educate all the opportunities that are out there. So I think our community can also take that initiative of educating and joining classes like you guys offer, learning a little bit more so they can help not just their family, but others in the community that might be struggling with some of the similar mental health issues.
I know we talked about patients that have suffered from PTSD.
Yeah.
Explain to me a little bit as far as just, those particular individuals, and just how to help them, when they're dealing with something, a trauma or something very dramatic.
Yeah. So we do have quite a few patients that do struggle with PTSD. It's either related to, trauma in the past, in the childhood, that they really have, gone through therapy and, they're still struggling. They still have those nightmares. They sometimes even do still experience those flashbacks. They have that anxiety from their thoughts, the recurring thoughts. And, over time, that just can become really overwhelming. And even it's work related. Some people, especially right now, and so many of the nurses, healthcare providers, to see the in and out of what the COVID is really impacting healthcare, it leaves a mark, and over time that becomes overwhelming. And when it becomes overwhelming, the anxiety, the depression starts to come in. Well, that's where, there's help out there, getting therapy, even the ketamine treatments we do, we help them with the depression and the anxiety, help to manage it on a daily basis. And then, the offerings of, support groups, talking to others about what you're feeling or your experience and how things have helped you or not helped you. I think just getting together and sharing those is a therapy itself.
So talk a little bit as far as the ketamine infusions, as far as
Mhm.
just that form of therapy, because a lot of people might not be aware of what that means. So
Sure.
walk through us through that process.
So ketamine therapy, it's ketamine's actually a drug that's been out on the market for a very long time. Back to the World War, they used it. Ketamine's been utilized in, after surgeries. And basically what it really helps is if you think about like a roadblock, it helps to reset and patch those roadblocks. A lot of times our minds are haywired from all the feelings and, so it helps to kind of really, clear that, all of the hair wire or the potholes you may see, in
Right.
our nerves. And overall, ketamine is we in our clinic use it as a very sub-dose level, so it's a very safe in the clinic that we use. And basically, we infuse it over a certain amount of time, and we have recommendations of stabilizing a patient and doing maintenance. And overall, that helps to really kind of really rewire everything, and get back to feeling and having those little bit more positive thoughts, and feeling that up mood, having a little bit more energy, the positivity. So it really helps to restructure a lot of that.
So the success rate has been really good as far as just
Yes. Yes.
what's kind of like a time frame. I know everyone's kind of individual,
Yeah.
but
Mm.
what's been kind of, or if you even have kind of an average time frame as far as when you start getting, as anything, when you're starting any type of
Treatment.
treatment, it takes some time to really see the positive results.
So research has, is the success we see from our treatments is because we research and we actually believe in when you first come in, we do something called stabilization. And it's going to be different from everybody, but we do about 4 to 6 stabilization treatments, which are about an hour and a half long for our treatments.
Okay.
And basically what that is really getting you to a level of, stability. And then after that, we do maintenances, patients will come back 7 to 10 days for maintenance, and then, probably about 14 days after. And then they come on a needed basis. Everybody's going to be different.
Right.
Usually you should start to see a lot of that relief and that stabilization. And then once the maintenance is really keeping it down. But a lot of the patients will come back either 4 to 6 weeks, pertaining to how they're feeling. Sometimes you have a rough month and you need to come in a little bit sooner. Some patients come in 4 to 6, or sometimes they may come in 6 months. But we generally want you to come in when you start to feel a lot of those symptoms and not get so bad, because we want you to overall maintain feeling the way you are.
Got it. Got it. That's a good point. So
Mhm.
I know you talked about kind of, you dealing with your own kind of struggles and depression, and what does self-care mean to you? Like once I tell a lot of our participants of the classes that we teach,
Yeah.
you also have to recognize, sometimes when we're trying to help a loved one, that loved one doesn't recognize that there is something wrong with them. So recognition, plays a big part before actually getting that help that you need. So in a self-care, regimen, what does that mean to you, and what were some of the ways that you have kind of managed to overcome some of those struggles in the past?
So I think when mental health is impacted, it really impacts our self-care. Eating healthy, it's impacted. Our sleep's impacted. Our hygiene, simple things as that is impacted. Our relationships are impacted, and I think self-care it's a dimension of just emotional, physical, psychological, and your spiritual health. Really maintaining all of that. And really, when you start to get that support that's out there, you focusing on, really trying to get that enough sleep, making sure one of the best thing that I used to do was exercise. Exercise is such a stress reliever, and it really increases the our well-being. It it, especially with depression and anxiety. So self-care is doing things that's good for you.
Right.
Substance things that make you feel better. Good hygiene, just getting my hair done or getting my
Yeah.
nails done.
It
It's
looks
simple
really good. It looks really good. Yeah,
simple as
even
that.
even those simple things like that, can go a long way. I think with COVID right now, we've just been, kind of scooped in our home, and that
Yeah.
has brought some anxiety, even just kind of getting back slowly into that routine, as
Yeah.
simple as it is of, for us females, getting your hair done, getting your nails done, and just, it just, elevates kind of that positive mindset immediately when you're doing that. And I tell people all the time, I said, it's really simple when, when you talk about eating healthy, getting your sleep, exercise. There's a correlation how all that is connected with your overall
Yeah.
mental health. So I think
Yeah.
individuals just have to find what's good for them, because
Yeah.
sometimes, you have to kind of get into that routine and kind of get into that, kind of daily activities of what's going to be best for you.
Yeah, and right now with the pandemic, it's put a lot of patients in a situation where even if they don't want to isolate, they're in a sort of an isolation. They're in isolation from their friends, their family, especially even during the holidays. But there's things that you can still do in your home, making sure that, you're taking that time out for yourself. Maybe one day making a meal that you like, you enjoy, get a little dressed up in your home, have a little date with your husband or something.
Right.
Like my husband and I, usually we try on Fridays to, even though we can't go
Unwind.
out, well, yeah, we'll get dressed up a little bit, have a nice dinner, cook together, whatever you like to do. I think that if you just take some time, even if it's 30 minutes a day of just taking some time to wind down and doing something you enjoy, it actually uplifts you.
Right. And I know you talked about, as far as, essential workers, and kind of they are dealing with so much
A
on a
lot of
daily
stress.
level. What have you seen amongst just, your coworkers, or anything that has helped them or kind of managed through this COVID time, and how they're managing their self-care and just their mental health in general? How are they coping?
So a lot of I have family members that are actually nurses, and they're actually in first line. I have a cousin that's actually a ICU nurse, and I think just opening up and talking to somebody that's close to you is the first step. Really
Right.
expressing how you're feeling, talking about it and what's bothering, and really letting those emotions out. It's not bad to take a moment to just cry in front of somebody and say, this is what I feel. It makes such a difference. And I think that's the first step is allow others to listen and be there for you, because I think we, especially nurses, like, and that as myself, we don't want to seem like we're vulnerable. We want to be the one taking care of everybody. We
Right.
don't
Of
want
every
people to think that we need to be taken care of, right? But in a time where it's not something like this, I think you have to acknowledge that you have to self-care. You have to allow yourself that time and talk to somebody, and seek for help. Like there's so many support groups out there right now too, where each other share, their experiences and stuff. And I think joining those support groups allows you to, really connect with others. And I think that's another, there's so many healthcare workers. I know there's even like Facebook groups, where you can join and they share their thoughts, their prayers, and how they're feeling. And I think allowing you to reach out to the community in that aspect, or reach out to a family member. Another thing is take time for yourself. I think it's so important that right now everybody's working long hours, everybody's working long shifts, they're picking up extra shifts because of the shortage, but also allowing yourself to take that day and say, I need a rest mentally from everything,
Right.
and
Right.
do something you enjoy besides how, worrying about the work itself.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned, as far as just talking. I have one of my really best friends, really good friend. She's almost like a sister to me, and she was going through some struggles. And I would check on her every day, like, I'm still here for you. What do you need? And she went mute for like a week or so. And I'm like, all right, she's gonna come around. So it's
Yeah.
important to kind of, check in on your friends, especially
Yeah.
people that are in the essential workers and our nurses. But it's also good to kind of continue that check-in. Finally, she called me back, like, hey, you ready to talk? Okay. And I know that she
Yeah.
still was struggling.
Yeah.
but she just kind of just started breaking down and crying and just letting it all out. And then she's like, all right, I feel better now.
See, it's as simple as that.
And then I'm like, oh my God, like, well, I'm just listening. But then she's like, no, this is my way. Like that was her way for her to
Yeah.
acknowledge, I cry it out, I let it go, and then we're back to square one and just feeling positive. So I think it's important, like you're saying, to give that individual, make sure that they're knowing that they can be heard. And I
Yeah.
think just talking about, even if you're kind of repeating those same emotions, I think that definitely goes a long way.
And I think it's also the other side too. You yourself can allow to be there for others. You should, instead of them just waiting for them to reach out to you, like you said, reach out to somebody. You never know what they're going through till you ask them, are you okay? It's as simple of just asking, is there, how are you doing, even, or even like, calling them once a week, just saying, hey, how's your week and stuff, just that, social interaction is very important to mental health. And right now it's so difficult, but I think we can still reach out over the phones, and so much technology is available. But I think just making that time to reach out to others.
And I think also even just the virtual connection. I know we've kind
Yeah.
of, have to connect that way on a virtual capacity, especially with Zoom and,
Yeah.
FaceTime. But I always still tell, my friends, it's still a connection. Like right now, we
Yeah.
don't know when you're able to, meet in person and kind of go back to our normal. But just continue that interaction, continue. I remember when COVID first started, and it was just those first few months, and I would have my schedule within my girlfriends and I would be booked with like Zoom meetings and virtual interactions, and just kind of like, oh man, I'm, already have a virtual, game night that we were doing. And
Yeah.
then it became almost comical, because then you're planning, even though you weren't doing anything, you're planning around these kind of connections and stuff. But I think it also has given us a way to connect with individuals that maybe you haven't,
Yeah.
and continue that kind of, check. You have to kind of continually check on your friends and your loved ones and your family. So tell me about your husband. How long have you guys been married?
So we've been married since 2017. I actually, we got married the July before Hurricane Harvey. I'll never forget. That was probably the first
Oh
hurricane.
no.
That's when I moved from Chicago, and all of a sudden I went from winter storms to hurricanes.
Right,
So
right.
I'll never forget. But we've been married for 3 years now, and loving it here in Houston.
Yeah. So tell me what would be a good way to, for, I know a lot of families kind of being cooped in inside, or just
Mhm.
partners and just, husbands and wives. What is kind of something that you share it, during this time, something new that you have done with your husband, as far as just in that realm of self-care and mental health, and activity that you guys have kind of created or um come to life? What are some things that you could share with us?
So, like I kind of mentioned before, our Friday nights are our nights. Usually, Friday nights we both love to cook. So one week he'll find a recipe, or he'll find something that we've never tried before, and that's our thing. We'll try to make it together and see how well we came out from it. But so it turns into a little date night, but also it's good because when we're cooking, we're sharing how our week was, we're talking to each other about our issues, so it really allows us to do something we enjoy, but also spend that time just us two.
Got
um,
it. Right.
and we also, along with it, we, because of the COVID, my parents are in Chicago, we make the effort to even call once a week, just to video call them and say, hey, how are you doing? And we use our cooking as an excuse, and we say, oh, we wanted to show you what we made. So I think that's something new that we started doing. Otherwise we usually used to go out to eat every Friday.
what
But
what You being new to Texas and just Houston in general, before COVID, what were some of the kind of your favorite go-to, foodie spots that you
Foodie
enjoyed?
spots. So we are very we really like Indian food. So I probably tried every Indian food there is in
Yeah,
Houston.
yeah,
But we also, like Mexican. So it's really there's no particular place, and especially in the 3 years that I've been here, there's no particular place. We just jump
right,
around, find
right.
find places that we haven't made our spot.
Yeah, I have actually a lot of friends that like love Indian food,
Indian
like love
food.
it. They're just, enamored with it. So that's always good.
Yeah.
I think that's also, I mean, you bring up a good point as far as just even trying new recipes, even though,
Yeah.
a cooking a moment can also become kind of therapeutic with just talking and opening that dialogue and just kind of sharing anything positive or negative. So I think that's a great kind of idea and concept with I did the other day, now that the holidays are coming and everybody's kind of reaching out with, their favorite movies that they watch
Oh, I know.
every year and kind of repeat that. Do you have a favorite
Yeah.
one that you watch?
I particularly, let me see if I have a favorite movie. I particularly, I'm a little, odd, but I like to watch Avengers.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's a great
I'm a,
movie.
I just, I don't know why. But in Jurassic Park, those two are my things. I watch every Jurassic Park movie. I'm a big fan. So those are my things. So I think what my husband and I even also do Saturday nights are our movie nights. So
Right, right.
we will find a movie that we haven't watched in a long time and replay those, so we can't go to the movie theaters, as of right now. So that's when we bring back our oldie movies and replay.
Right.
And
The
now
good
you Christmas movies.
Well, now you can, I mean, there's so many that are coming out on your cable that you can just
Oh yeah.
order and stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, but those things, that I watch this, Christmas Vacation is one of my ultimate, ultimate favorite movies. Like I'm obsessed with
Ah,
it every year.
Christmas
So
vacation.
they had a, kind of a virtual, kind of Q&A with Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo,
Uh-huh.
that are the main actors, of course, of that movie. But even just being part of that, I watched it Saturday night for like an hour, and they basically just gave you information as far as just, behind the scenes and any secrets with the movies. But one thing that my friend created, during COVID, that also helped, which is kind of, watching movies together, through
Mm-hmm.
Netflix. They were doing,
Mm-hmm.
sharing it with your friends and kind of selecting, even though you're watching the movie on your screen, on your computer screen, but you had like a chat and everybody was kind of just chiming
Oh,
in.
that's
So
yeah.
that's something, yeah, that was very fun as far as my own self-care and mental health, of just like, oh my God, I'm not interacting with anyone. What can we
Yeah.
do? So that was
Yeah.
one exciting thing to do, to kind of just share that.
Yeah.
So we have a question here that someone
Sure.
said, how long are normally the treatments, like the infusions? Does it vary?
Yeah. So our depression treatments usually run about an hour and a half. You expect to be there. Our pain treatments are a little bit more extensive. They're about 3.5 hours long, and usually, it can be give and take. Sometimes with recovery, it can be a little bit longer, but usually the approximate is an hour and a half for our depression and 3.5 hours for our pain.
Got it. And then we have another comment here. As far as the pain, like, is there a specific kind of pain that you should kind
Yes.
of look into this, or what do you guys kind of
So we treat a lot of there's fibromyalgia, there's chronic migraines, there's
okay,
also like neuropathy kind of pain.
okay,
CRPS is a very common that we treat. It's complex regional syndrome. It has to do with the nerves. So those are the general that we do. Now, if you believe that there's some kind of pain, we can always see if we can help you. Just reach out to us. But these are the general ones that we really help patients with are the CRPS, chronic migraines, even like I said, fibromyalgia, which is the hardest thing I think to treat, and that's something that we've seen benefits with.
yeah. And I know we mentioned earlier, as far as just the suicide ideations from some patients.
Yeah.
And those, unfortunately, when we are in this, talking about mental health, and especially now with COVID, the rates have gone up as far as just
Hmm.
suicide rates. What are some of the steps that, if someone kind of comes in with those ideations, that you guys kind of prepare them and kind of analyze them and treat them?
So when we do our screenings, we evaluate any history and what there's, how severe it is. If it's in a situation, if they're actively where they need to get help, we want them to get the help. But if you were having the recurrent suicidal ideations, we've actually within that stabilization seen a lot of relief with those thoughts. Patients are able to control their emotions, their thought a little bit more. And I've actually, when I had first started, I've actually seen a person who actually came in and said she was actively having suicidal ideations, no current plans, but but we treated her, and within the first two, three treatments, she says, I was able to sleep better. Those thoughts that I was having at nighttime just have disappeared. I'm so excited that I can actually feel as I'm not doomed, that feeling of doom and feeling of no hope. She says, I feel like there's hope now. And that's the success that we see. Sometimes numbers are there, but it's the patient stories that we see that we really seen with the success. And it's just amazing how when I first started doing ketamine treatments, didn't realize that till I've seen the success myself with my own eyes.
Right, right. So now that you've been there quite a few years, touch on that as far as, the stories that people share and kind of making, I mean, those are the powerful messages when they're
Yeah,
when they're
yeah.
feeling like there is hope.
Hmm.
What has your view changed, just kind of, now being able to have that connection with just different kind of patients? Share something with us that, as far as just, that stigma behind mental health, or people thinking it's not treatable, or there isn't any hope. What's something that you have kind of, changed your own personal views or just mindset, just being there and being able to positively have a good success rate and treating the patients the
Hmm.
right way?
Yeah, we've seen patients that have come through that have tried every medication. Either it's not worked for them or they've dealt with side effects from the medications, and they've seen psychiatrists, they've seen therapists, and they're getting they may be getting some relief, but not really that feeling of feeling normal, as you would say. They're just not getting that. And I've seen from my experience that it really changes the overall positivity that comes from it after the treatments. That's something that I've seen. And I think that, if you feel as things haven't worked for you in the past, this could be an option, to really, really, there's never, unless you give up hope, that's the end. It's hard to not to, but, that's where I say to patients, there's still hope out there. There's treatments like this out there, it's never the end. So, you know, and I live by it. So I think that, if you're feeling at that point where you're feeling you're nowhere to run, nowhere to get help, this could be something that's beneficial to you.
No, I agree, and that's definitely something, that we provide even here at NAMI when we're teaching our classes, and teaching our, just kind of that platform of resources that are out there. We
Hmm.
also have, I'm not sure if you're familiar with our C Center, our C line, C Center line that we have here at
Yeah,
NAMI.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that we always tell a lot
Hmm.
of our people that call in, and sometimes people just want to get that resource and kind of just get that information. So our C Center line, it's something that we happily provide with NAMI, and kind of get calls every day on a daily basis with people seeking help.
Yeah, and I say, along with ketamine, I think therapy and whatever treatment they're doing, it's just going to enhance it. So it's really going to help you in addition to that. And once, you're able to feel and have that positivity, you're able to do more. You're able to reach out and get the help that you need. Sometimes you feel stuck and you need that push, and the ketamines can help you, but then also you're more successful with other treatments. You're able to see a more benefit from it too.
Got it, got it. So as far as, I know you mentioned, some insurance, will be covered under the pain, but you guys do offer payment options as well, right?
Yes, we do have flexible finance options that are available. Another thing that we live by is our hero discount. We actually do offer hero discounts for any active or retired service members and also first responders. So we do have a discounted price for all our heroes.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
I wanted to mention as far as the discounts for the members and the first responders.
yeah.
So as far as virtual screenings right now, you guys offer that to anyone that's really interested in kind of getting
Yeah,
treatment, right? Okay.
like you just go online, say you're interested, fill out a form at our Ketamine Wellness Center website, and usually there's a very fast response, and we'll get you all scheduled to the further screenings. That
Okay.
usually it's not a very long wait of a time.
So tell me what made you kind of come into just, becoming a nurse practitioner and just kind of getting into that world. How did you come about that?
So it's something that when I was in high school, my mom actually was very ill and I'd seen her through her hardest time. And I think I was a caregiver for her at that time and everything I had done. And I just felt that's where I was more connected, and I worked in that hospital as a secretary, but I was just so awed by the nurses and the doctors. Like, this is something that I always thought that I see myself doing. And another thing is, I feel like I'm a type of person that I feel like I have that caring. Everybody has the caring, but I
Right.
just feel like I need to help others. I need to do something. My professional, if my profession can include helping others, that's my profession. And I think that I've actually felt so accomplished after becoming a nurse with my life, just saying that in and out helping others. So, and then I grew my passion in advocacy and went back to become a nurse practitioner because I wanted to be an advocate out there. I wanted to
Right.
really use my knowledge and educate. And I think that was one of my reasons to go back as a nurse practitioner.
And we talked about that. I mean, caregiving, being compassionate, having empathy, and just caring for another individual. And we touched a little bit on it earlier as far as just um, you have been a caregiver, with your mother and just kind of
Mhm.
providing that service now to patients. What would be some of the things that you would advise to other caregivers that maybe don't speak up or maybe are kind of holding all those feelings in? What would be some of the kind of just positive, a positive push that you can kind of just alleviate that psychological stress if they're not being opening about it?
So, if in those situations, where you really aren't able to reach out, I think there's so many support groups out there. And for caregivers that you can actually, everybody in those support groups have the similar experience and share some aspect where you feel that I think that connection is going to help. So reach out to local support groups and if you're not able to, even sometimes listening to others allows us to open up. You're like, oh
Right.
wow, like I'm not alone. There's others that feel the same way as I do. And that allows you to speak up and say, hey, I had that experience also. So if in a case where you're not able to just share with your family and friends, reach out to support groups and just listen if you really don't want to share, because I think it makes a difference,
Definitely, definitely.
knowing that you're not the only one.
So as far as the role of a caregiver, as far as just the importance of that, that caregiver and the
Mhm.
role, what do you think it's some of the the attributes you need to have to kind of keep that positivity when it comes to just, the role of just constantly being that caregiver individual?
So I think a lot of patience, I think patience is a key thing. Listening is, having the quality of listening to others, a lot of times, just sitting there and letting them speak their mind. So being as a caregiver, I think my husband's a caregiver for me because I probably cry to him all the time. But
That's why you married him. That's why you married him.
that came with that came with it. But,
Right.
I think just being patient, really being understanding, have an open mind, just listening and making sure that everything is going to be okay, and encouraging and reinforcing them. Hey, it's okay. We're here for you, allowing them to feel that way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's very important to, to be able to, I think patience has something that we've all have learned this year with COVID. I was at the store the other day and I was returning something from I had bought at Amazon Prime, and I didn't know you could go to Kohl's and return it there. And I'm like, oh, that's gonna be so easy. But the
Yeah.
line was so long, and I'm like, oh no, this is like, but it's those moments that you have to kind of think of yourself like, all right, just relax, patience, and just kind of meditate in your own mind when you're having those stressors and having those those struggles.
Yeah.
A simple thing as just waiting in line. I was just kind of looking around. I was like, all right, I guess, and everybody's just patiently waiting. So that's something that I've noticed.
Patience. Yeah.
Just in general, if you're at the grocery store and everybody's kind of keeping their self distance, just kind of being patient with
Patience.
the
Yeah.
cashier and patient with everyone around you.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we have another comment here. Let me see if I can find it. So educate yourself and educate about mental health. What would be some of the things that you would say outside of just kind of speaking about it that you would tell someone as far as just a conversational resource as far as just an education on mental health in general? What's one of the things that you would kind of share to someone to just open up to share their thoughts? What's some of the
Um,
things you would want them to know as far as just education in general?
So I think education in general, opening up, I think, first of all, just allowing, that time for somebody, to share. I'm just saying that you're, educating about this, just so that your support is out there. I think that's the best thing, allowing them to realize that if you need anything, that support is there. Also, if there's also classes that there's, in the community that are free to really, that educates about self-care, or at, as a community member, how you can help others. And I think taking those classes can help you, because that, learn the tips, learn different skills. Like there's coping mechanism skills, there's the dialect skills, all of those skills that can help some other individuals. I think taking those classes helps you gain those skills. And then just, when you are educated, you learn that you can relate, you can, be there for somebody. That's part of education, is understanding what is it about. If you don't know what something about, you're obviously not going to care as much. But I think when you
Right.
educate, you become more caring about it. And I say, just search for any of those classes that are out there. But the first thing I would be is just provide that support for those individuals.
So, going back into our essential workers, especially our nurses, that are upfront and dealing with disability, have you seen anything or any webinars that have been provided, let's say just for the nurses, as far as just for anything to help, tools to help with coping, or just anything with practical skills? Have you seen any of that within your own community?
I'm not in my community. I've seen a lot on Facebook. I'm actually part of a Facebook group that's just for nurses, and they share their experience. They ask for prayers. They'll sometimes even come on there and say, today was one of my hardest day of my life. I've really struggled today. Can you just pray a prayer for me? I have a patient, was really, and
Right.
asking for that support. And so I think that social media is one of the best outlets, especially right now with the pandemic, and it's connecting to others. And somebody from New Jersey could be on there and asking for support, so it's really bringing everybody together. So I have not personally seen something in my community, but I'm part of a couple of groups on Facebook.
Yeah, and I've seen that too. I think Facebook groups have become, kind of that outlet to be able to just,
Yeah.
type in whatever you're feeling and just feel like you're part of a community that's still healing, that's still kind of, giving hope, and just we're doing this together. I think that's one thing
Yeah.
that I've learned, during this
Mm-hmm.
year of COVID is whatever your struggles are financially, emotionally, everybody's kind of doing that together. So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
just, different outlets and different just the resources. There's a lot of community resources. We advocate about, calling our C center to getting different resources. We have an entire manual on just different kind of, depending on what you're looking for that NAMI provides.
Yeah.
So let me see. We had one more comment here. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, so someone mentioned that you like exercise earlier. What are your go-to kind of fitness regimen that you enjoy? How do you unwind when it comes to your regimen when and working out?
So one of the things that I like to, and this, I don't know if anybody's even heard of this, is something called jazzercise. I love
Yes.
to dance. I don't
I
even
think we
know if
have a
any
lot of people that have yeah,
jazzercise.
yeah.
That's my go-to. But I've been trying to more involve in just yoga at home. There's so many videos even on YouTube. I just pop in, but I think my main two things are jazzercise and yoga.
I honestly tried yoga during COVID, and I hear that it's very therapeutic, and
Yeah,
just like it just enhances your mind and sets you in a very relaxing stress reliever. But my mind is always racing. Like I've tried, and I'm still determined to master some skills, which is the meditation and the yoga, because that does. I've had heard a lot
yeah,
of my friends that do it, that it's a good stress reliever when it comes to your overall mental health. But I have a
yeah.
friend that does Zumba, and she's obsessed with it. Like she can
Yeah,
literally dance for hours. Like so we have to find those. Those excitement when it comes to fitness and
hmm,
working out, whatever works out for you. And the good thing now is that there's a lot of women that are kind of, like my yoga class that I took was actually this lady in New York, my one of my
hmm.
good friends in New York. And I'm watching all these people that I don't even know, I've never would have met. But I think that virtual capacity is also really good with just connecting, even if you're exercising and working out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
people said
And I've
yoga,
know
Zumba, and meditation. High
And
five on that.
I've seen so many also, like, like even Jazzercise, they offer online classes, and that you can attend. And I think even your local YMCA now offers classes and stuff online. And I think that's great. I think since the COVID, they've opened that opportunity up for people, and there's so many. We just need to find it.
Right, right. So before we wrap up, share with me. I know we talked about Indian food, and a lot of my friends that enjoy Indian food. Tell me like a traditional kind of holiday, anything that you do with your family, something that maybe with people watching that love the community of here with so many different Indian restaurants. Give me some recipes, or give me some a tradition that you guys usually do around the holidays.
So we, our biggest, one of our, my biggest holiday is Diwali, which is kind of similar to Christmas for us. And we eat a lot of food at that time. And so this year, we usually go to the temple and pray. So all our temples actually did live prayers on, so we watched it from our home. But it's a tradition with my husband and I to make a full course meal for so I would say that I would say there's something called laddu, which is an
Okay.
Indian sweet, and it's made from like chickpea flour and stuff, but it's really good. That's when so we try to make that at home, but that's our culture. And this year it's been a little bit difficult with the pandemic. Even our families couldn't be with us and everything. So everything we did was FaceTime this, and FaceTime that, and
Right.
don't allow you can get so creative, I think, and don't allow the pandemic to really put a stop in anything, because if you really put your mind to it, there's so much you can still do, just in your home. And I
Right.
don't feel like this year, even being just at home, was any different. I feel like this year we enjoyed it even more because
Right. It's a unique connection, like you're saying. I think I think a lot of people kind of became very creative within their own, families and their own kind of
Yeah.
either creating new traditions this way or kind of just, keeping those traditions alive in a virtual setting. So yeah, I gotta ask my friend about that dessert because I know
Literally.
they try, I'm trying to think of the place that I went to here. It was off of Westheimer.
Oh yeah, we live right by Westheimer.
Yeah,
There's so
around
many.
there.
That's like the hub of all the Indian restaurants.
All right, let's see. Someone just mentioned in her shoes book. You're just talking about they're having their own conversation and comments there
uh,
on Facebook.
uh,
Well, we definitely appreciate your time, and I
yeah,
mean, I think we provided a lot of another useful resource as far as just
yeah,
the ketamine wellness centers, what we
it's a
can
great
provide.
resource.
Yeah, exactly. So, anything else you want to share with us before we jump off and just, share with the community? We talked on
No,
a lot of different topics and stuff. So we definitely thank you for your time and we thank you
we,
for providing, like I said, this outlet to our
yes.
viewers and just hopefully getting that hope and getting that, assistance and help that they need.
Yes, just reach out to us. It's ketaminewellnesscenter.com. We have so many different locations. Even if you know somebody that may need particularly, reach out to them and say, hey, this could be something that's something to look into. We're here for you. All our members for Ketamine Wellness are great. If you have any questions, you can call us also at 855 Get Well. That's our phone number. And then the website. So,
You said Ketwell, K-E-T well.
it's 855 KETWELL.
Okay, got it. I'll share that with everyone.
Yeah. And, I think that, if it's not for yourself, this is like, how we say be a support for others. This is something, let them know that there is something out there still, that they can look into and, still feel like there's hope.
Well, thank you so much. And I wish
Yes.
you and your husband an amazing holiday and
Thank
just
you. You too.
celebration. And we'll do this soon again.
Stay safe. All
All
right. Take
right.
care,
Thank you.
everybody. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.